Hello and welcome to Lapping Analytics. My name is Jimmy Lapping. I'm a psychologist and statistician with an interest in a range of topics, including the forecasting of sports events. If you've been following my channel for a while, you will see that from time to time I share my forecasts of specific soccer or football events, football matches. And in the last couple of weeks, I've been doing that for my for the FIFA World Cup 2026, which has been hosted by Canada, US, and Mexico. I shared my forecast for the round of 32, I shared my forecast for the round of 16, and of course also for the quarterfinals, which is actually the lower four matches. So the last four lines in this overview are the quarterfinals. I had a 100% track record in that round of quarterfinals because France-Morocco, I predicted that France would win in regular time. Spain versus Belgium, I predicted Spain would win in regular time. Norway-England, I predicted a win for England, but after extra time. So I said, okay, after regular time, it's going to be a draw, most likely. And for Argentina-Switzerland, the same. I predicted a draw for regular time, but a win for Argentina after extra time. And that's what happened. England made the winning goal. It was 1-1 draw after regular time. England scored 2-1 in the extra time. And in the case of Argentina, it was 1-1 after regular time, and they scored 2 goals in extra time. Okay, when we take the whole set of round of 32, round of 16 and quarterfinal matches, so the total of 28 matches that you see in this overview, in 61% of those matches, about 61%, 17 out of 28, I got the outcome correct in the sense that now team A wins, team B wins, or a draw. That's 61%. Yet when we look at, okay, which of the two teams will proceed to the next round, I was correct in 75% of the cases. So in 21 out of 28 matches, I had the winner correct, which is it's a nice performance. And well, for the quarterfinal, normally you see that as the tournament proceeds, the model performs a bit worse because it's more difficult to tell apart the skills of the two teams. And the further you get into the tournament, the smaller the differences between teams tend to be, so the more uncertainty there is around a certain outcome. But in this case, the quarterfinal gave the best performance, all 4 matches correct. So what does that? What does my model do now for the semifinals? Well, the first semifinal is going to be on Tuesday, 14th of July, France versus Spain. Again, I'm not going to explain the whole method in detail. If you want to know the mathematical and statistical foundation of this method, I refer to my videos in which I shared my forecast for the round of 32 and the round of 16. But in a nutshell, you see on the left, you see a matrix. First of all, up left, you see a matrix with on the left a colored column for France, which in blue indicates the goals that France scored in each of the 6 matches that they've had so far. And then the lower half of that colored column, so the red colors, those show the goals that Spain got against in their 6 matches, because that gives an indication of the scoring potential of opponents against Spain in this tournament. So in Spain had the first 5 matches without a goal against, hence 5 zeros in that lower half of the colored column for France. But the last one is a 1 because against Belgium they got their first goal in the tournament against. Yet for Spain, we see a colored row for Spain, which starts with 0, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2. Those are the goals that Spain scored in their 6 matches against opponents so far. And the right half of that row, so 101, 0, 0, 0, 101, 0, 0, 0, those 6 numbers, that's the goals that France got against in the tournament in each of the 6 matches, which gives an indication of the scoring potential of a team against France in this tournament. So what then happens is each of the the numbers of the colored column is compared to each of the numbers of the colored row. So for instance, for the first one, France 3, Spain 0, the difference is 3, and that kind of comparison I do for all the combinations in the colored column and the colored row. That's 144 combinations in total, 12 by 12. And what that results in is that you see a graph on the right. This is a graphical representation of all the outcomes, and if you want the numbers with it, that's the small table under the matrix. So you see that there are 38 comparisons that resulted in a draw, which is why that is the highest bar, because that's the most occurring frequency for the most occurrent outcomes, so the most frequent outcome of all these outcomes that are presented. Now, when we look at the blue surface, so the combination of the 4 blue bars for France, then we see that there are 60 comparisons that resulted in favor of France, 38 for draw because that's the 0 difference, and 46 for Spain. So there is more in favor of France. We apply a uniform prior of 1, 1, and 1. So that gives posterior probabilities in the end of almost 41% chance of a France win, just over 32% chance of a Spain win, and 27.16% chance of a draw after regular time. So these are, so P post, that's the probabilities for each of 3 possible outcomes after regular time, either France win, which is the most likely, or Spain win, which is the second most likely, or a draw. But of course, only one of the teams can proceed to the final. So what we do then is we split the draw probability into 2 equal halves and then round it off on 0 decimals, so on whole numbers. We get a 54% chance of a win for France and a 46% chance approximately for Spain. So that means that the most likely scenario using the decision rules that I've used in the tournament so far is that after regular time there should be a draw. Why? Because the difference between France winning and Spain winning, that difference in probabilities is less than 10 percentage points, and moreover the probability of a draw and the probability of a Spain win, so the 2 least likely scenarios, have a joint probability of just over 59%, which exceeds 55% that I've been using as a cutoff in the tournament. So in this case, 2 criteria indicating that a draw is a more likely outcome after regular time, even though if you look at the regular time, it's of course not the most likely outcome. But yeah, since the probability for France winning and that for Spain winning are quite, not exactly the same, but they are pretty similar. That's why still after regular time we give draw as the most likely outcome. 2 strong teams competing against each other, so it's possible that you have 2 teams with a higher probability of winning than the draw probability. But again, it's less than 10 percentage points difference, and so in this case I would say draw after regular time. But since France has the better probability overall, I predict France as a winner after extra time, or if needed after penalties. So that's the first semi-final, but it is close. I mean, as these probabilities indicate, it's not clear cut at all that France is going to the final. I mean, everything can happen. It's really close, but again, since I used the highest probability as the most likely candidate to proceed, well, if I had to make a choice, I would say France in this case. They have been, I think, from what I have seen so far, the strongest team in the tournament of all the teams that are left. Okay. July 15, the Wednesday, England versus Argentina. Well, those teams both needed extra time. Both teams so far have had 2 draws after regular time, because England had 1 draw in the group round. Argentina needed extra time twice in the playoffs, England only once yesterday. Again, it's not very different, how the two teams have performed so far, and in terms of probabilities that they have to go to the next round. Although Argentina is slightly favored, we can say that if we look at the probability of England win, it's 32.7%. For Argentina, it's 42.6% after regular time, of course. That is just below the 10 percentage points criterion that I use to say, okay, draw could be the most likely scenario. And the combined probability of the two least likely scenarios, which in this case is England win and draw, the combined probability of that is over 57%, just over 57%. So that's over the 55 that I use as a criterion to say, okay, now it's probably a draw. So again, most likely scenario, draw after regular time, although in this case Argentina should win after extra time or penalties. Again, these probabilities indicate that nothing is certain at all. It can go either way. These probabilities show that we have two teams facing each other on Wednesday that are, well, quite comparable in terms of performance. Argentina is the slight favorite, but I wouldn't be surprised if the outcome was a different one. As can also be seen in the following overview, which is the last overview that I'm showing in this video. What I'm doing here is to say, okay, there are 4 possible scenarios, right? Because there are two couples of 2 teams facing in the semifinals, and well, either of those 2 can win. So there are 4 possible scenarios. In the case that France and Argentina win, as I say, is the most likely based on the probabilities at hand, then the first scenario would play off. So we would see Spain and England in the match for the 3rd place on Saturday the 18th of July, and on Sunday the 19th we would see France versus Argentina in the final. Now, when you look at the estimated probability of that scenario occurring, that is only 30%. Because it's basically the probability of France winning in one match multiplied with the probability that Argentina wins in the other match, because those 2 matches are independent. So you multiply the probabilities of France and Argentina, and what you get rounded off on a whole number is 30%. It's I'm not sure if it was 29.8 or 29.9, but I've put it here in whole numbers. 30%, about 30% chance of France and Argentina being in the final, and Spain and England being in the match for the 3rd place. So 30% chance of this specific scenario, which is also to say that, okay, before I showed my the probabilities and my forecasts for the 2 semifinals, I said that in one France would probably win in extra time, and in the other one Argentina in extra time. But I already indicated, look, it's fairly close, and the fact that you only see a 30% chance of this exact scenario playing out means that there is a 70% chance that one of the other scenarios comes. So that this specific scenario doesn't play out. So either maybe Spain wins or maybe England wins, and then we would of course have one of the other 3 scenarios. Yet of the 4 scenarios that are possible, this is the most likely one with 30% chance. The second most likely one is that we have a match for the 3rd place between France and England, and a final between Spain and Argentina. That would have a 25% probability. The 3rd scenario, Spain and Argentina facing off in the match for the 3rd place, and France and England in the final, that has a 24% chance. And finally, the least likely scenario, though still it has a 21% chance of playing out, is that France and Argentina both lose the semifinals and for that reason play in the match for the 3rd place, and Spain and England face off in the final. So these are the 4 scenarios. You see, in terms of probabilities, well, they are not that far apart. There isn't any scenario which has a 60% chance of occurring, and there isn't any scenario of having, let's say, a 5% chance of occurring either. This shows how close things really are, how difficult it is to forecast, okay, this is going to happen. Again, my best guess is that we have a final between France and Argentina, which would be basically a redo from 4 years ago. Then it was also the final, France versus Argentina, and Argentina won after penalties. But it could well be that we see a slightly different final. Anyway, I hope you find this interesting. I hope you find this useful. If you like this kind of content, you will find more of it on my channel. And once the semifinals have passed, I will also share my forecast for the 2 remaining matches. One, of course, being the match for the 3rd place on Saturday, the 18th of July, and one for the final on Sunday, the 19th of July. Okay, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, hope you have a nice weekend and hope you enjoy the World Cup if you are watching. Bye bye.